Hello, Facebook Live. I am joined with Agostino Pintus, and today we're going to talk about the mindset to build success. And Agostino is a successful entrepreneur who has gotten more than $100 million of real estate deals done in 3 years. That's $100 million. That's a big number. Welcome, Agostino. How are you?
Man, I'm awesome. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. My pleasure. So you're a multifamily investor. You are a syndicator, an entrepreneur. I know that you do some development and have some strategic partnerships. What else do we need to know about you?
Well, triple net leases as well is another thing that I do from that perspective. But I'll tell you, it wasn't always like this, and it took a lot of effort and a lot of mindset changes to get to where I'm at today. I look back and I consider a lot of time wasted doing things I probably should not have been doing. So it's but now it's a whole different way of living. Now I
Okay.
get to live life on my own terms, and that's probably the best thing that makes me happy now. So it's just awesome. It's just awesome.
So you were in the corporate world before
Yeah.
real estate. Okay. So how long were you in the corporate world and what did you do there?
So my background is all technology, IT, right? Since I was a kid, since I was like, I don't know, 9 years old, even before that, as soon as I laid eyes on a computer, I think I was in grade five or grade six. It was grade five, I think. And I saw when they first rolled in this old fashioned Commodore computer, which many of your people know, I just don't even know what that is. As soon as I laid eyes on that thing, I thought technology was going to be it for me. That's what I was going to be doing. I devoted my whole life to technology. I started writing code when I was 10 years old. I was one of those kids that really I just immersed myself in technology and became as great as I could at tech and IT. And I wanted to build a whole career around it. So that's exactly what I did. I ended up, I wanted to have my own software company, but my parents, being immigrants from Italy, right? And they knew all they knew how to do was work. That's it. Work the 40-hour job. That's what they were told. And that's what they were subscribed to. And they told me, entrepreneurship is not for you. You need to go get a job. That's what you need to do too. Right. So that's why I just went to school, did my undergrad engineering technology, and then did two master's degrees and did all that fun stuff only to go to work for these companies. And I think part of it is that I had success I had some success doing the whole corporate America thing. One thing that I did not do wrong not do right looking back is that I did not guide my career properly. I ended up working for a lot of crappy companies. And when you're working, you kind of you can't really say that. You can't poo-poo on other people's on companies especially when you're interviewing, which I did a lot of because I've been fired from about 12 jobs.
You're unemployable. I'm unemployable as well. We're good. We're in the same group together.
Yeah, but it's I think that I built quite a bit of success after getting up and down, getting fired, and go get another job again. I spend months I used to send out. I swear, I used to send out 100 resumes a day. 100 resumes a day. Chances are, someone in your audience has one of my resumes sitting in their inbox. And I'll tell you, man, that's how I used to live my life between jobs because I was between jobs all the time. I just was not good at working for people, but I kept on doing it anyway. And I got lucky. I'd say about 14 years ago, I started off with this seemingly great company in Virginia, and I did wonders for this company. I helped put them on the map, as a matter of fact, publicly traded company. But that fear always existed in my mind. Okay, what if I get fired from this company now? And I was always worried about getting fired, which is I don't know how people do it nowadays. I don't know how they do it, but I was always living in fear. So I started getting into real estate back then, right? So I would start with the single family, the small multifamily, buying them, renting them out, that kind of thing, right?
Were you
And
still in Virginia? Were you still in Virginia at the time that you
I was,
started?
yeah, I was working at this company. And I ended up becoming a CIO, a chief information or CTO, technically, chief technology officer, making decent money. So I started plowing money into single families, small multifamily, stuff like that. And yeah, I was working at this company while doing that at the same time with the intent of trying to buy enough houses to help offset my income in the event that I got fired. Can you imagine going through life living like that? Like, what if I get fired tomorrow? Oh my God. It's like, even a guy, like, at the time I was a C-level executive working at this company. I'd done wonders for them, and I was always worried about losing my job. Always, because of all the jobs I've been through prior to that. And then, of course, one day it happens. The guy comes in, he hands me the box, pack up your crap, you're done, get out. Here we are, 4 years gone, right? Spent almost 4 years there, helping them become one of the biggest companies in their field. And I was shattered, man. I mean, I devoted my life. I spent ungodly number of hours, 60-hour weeks, 70-hour weeks there. Me built up the team. They did the same thing I did. I mean, it was nuts. And you really have to watch out what you do to yourself, because I really hung my whole identity as the C-level technology guy at this company is what I did. Okay. Shame on me for allowing that to happen. So I did that. And I ended up going through what I call the 10 dark years. I was just floating from job to job to job. That's
this was after that? After that?
After that.
14 years ago, you leave your C-level CTO job that you helped that company get on the map. And then you went 10 years from then floating through the corporate ladder at that point. Do I understand that correctly?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it was so, and it was like going from job to job to job. I had no focus, no why, just try to get whatever I could, that kind of thing, and it's a terrible way to, it's shame on me for running my life the way I did, by just taking everything as opposed to being purposeful with my life. But I think at the same time too, when you're trying to take down a C-level executive job, those jobs are not only few and far in between, you're also competing with some very bright people.
Sure.
Those C-level guys, they're no slouches. They're all they're usually pretty good. They're usually pretty good, and you're competing against those folks, right? And I think when I was ended up getting a job in Indianapolis, working for a great guy. I was living in New York at the time. He was a New Yorker. I was a New Yorker. He asked me to come out to Indianapolis and help him get this company under control, which I did. Fixed it up, fixed up the IT group. Only what happens, he quits, and then I get fired again because a new guy comes in, doesn't like me. Great. So here we are, 4 years ago. Just under, I'd say, 4 years ago, something like that. And I'm like, you know what? I'm thinking to myself, how many more times can I possibly go through this? How many more times is going to be enough before I decide that this isn't my life? I mean, how many more times am I going to put my life in the hands of someone else? And that's a question that you should ask yourself every single day if you're not an entrepreneur, right? I'm not saying everybody's cut out to be an entrepreneur. Maybe they don't want to be, but that's where I was. And then I decided that, you know what, I'm going to make a change. And I still had some of these single families left. I had a handful left, and started selling them all off. And so I'm going to do something with real estate. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to get some cash. So I started liquidating everything. And
where were your properties?
They were at that time Michigan and Virginia. And Virginia. Because I used to live in Michigan. I used to live in Virginia. Right.
Okay.
And but that one fateful day, I was sitting outside of a Starbucks, and I happened to be talking to a new contact that I made, just doing some networking. He was a real estate attorney, and I asked him this question. I said, who owns these properties? And I was pointing to I think it was like a 30-unit apartment building, right? I go, who owns that? And he says, what do you mean? People own that. I go, what people? You mean banks? What? He goes, no, people. They syndicate it. I'm like, syndicate? What's that? So he explains to me what syndication is. Explains to me about raising money and using it as equity, and then you pay back your investors and all this fun stuff. And I'm like, I could do that. So that's what I did. So
you started raising money. You started raising capital at that point.
Not exactly.
Okay.
Because one thing that I knew in that brief conversation was that I was lacking the knowledge. And up until that point, I was listening. I started to listen to books, but I wasn't really as focused as I am now about reading books and enriching my mind, I knew that there was a gap that I had, and the gap that many people get this wrong, by the way, right? I'm sure there's going to be people listening right now, and this is where the gap is. It isn't like I got to do syndication is the answer. I'm going to start making my first phone calls now. That's absolutely the wrong thing to do, because there's a gap of knowledge that you have to cover in your own mind. The first thing to do is, of course, get the mindset right, because without the goals defined, like you have to define your goals as to what you want to see happen. Because without having that set up first as the groundwork for everything that comes above it, nothing happens, right? And that's what I got to work doing, is establishing, okay, what's my life going to be like? I'm going to do it with real estate. I knew that. I said, fine, I'm going to syndicate deals. I'm going to do it with real estate. How soon am I going to do this, and when's it going to happen?
So you had a vision. You had to establish your vision first. Where am I going to go?
Exactly. Where am I going to go? But and to even go deeper than that, I even defined, what does the future look like, right? So let's say 10 years from now, where am I living? What am I wearing? What car am I driving? When I wake up in the morning and I look outside the window, what do I expect to see? And not only do you write that down, you're almost like internalizing it in your own mind. It's like you're playing. It's almost like you're playing a video. It's like you're reciting a memory in your mind of what is actually happening. And I go through this all the time. I picture myself waking up. I pull the covers out like this. I stand up. I go over to the window. I look outside and I see a beach. I don't see a single soul on that beach, because I want a private beach. You see, I want a private beach, and I see the water, the clear blue water. I see that, and I walk over to the desk. And then I go look at my reports for the day. All right, see what's going on in that day. And I look to see the reports of how much money each property is earning. Then I go downstairs, I make my espresso, and I can sit there in the kitchen and watch the water for a while and read my books. I picture all this as if it's already happened, right? That I found is the key aspect to seeing things really happen in your future. There's a thing called the reticular activating system. Okay. Have you ever wanted a car, and as soon as you started looking at this car online or whatever, then you step outside, you start seeing the car everywhere?
Of course.
That's a reticular activating system. Everyone has this system built in, right? Your subconscious starts looking for it, right? And that's what I started doing. I started looking for the opportunity. But the same thing happens when you start thinking about your future and what your future is going to look like, right? Your reticular activating system does the same thing.
So you visualize with granular, with clarity, with being specific, all the way to probably what the espresso maker was and the pods that you're making the espresso from. And then you put your reticular activating system into action to be able to be aware of the opportunities that were going to get you to where you were going.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And then what I also do is I also write out in point format, right? What is going on with, like, say, my income, right? So I make $200,000 a month. I have my Cybertruck is outside waiting for me to go for a ride. Which I ordered, by the way, right? So all these things are defined, right? And as soon as you define them and you write them out every single day, your reticular activating system also makes these things start happening as well. And what it also does, I find, at least for me anyway, is it charges me up. It gets me excited about what's going on. And one thing I also do is when we do have a bad day, or I have a bad day on something, or I don't get a deal that I was expecting to get, or there's some sort of something goes sideways that day, I write out those goals anyway, because it reminds me as to where I'm going, right? To write out the goals and think about the goals as a first thing to do every single day sets you up for success for the rest of the day.
How much time do you spend doing that?
It doesn't take much, man. That's the thing. 10, 15 minutes. That's it. And I mean, I get up at 5 a.m. to go to the gym every day, right? So I go to the gym, I come home, I make my coffee, I sit down, and I usually I'll write that out, and then I'll listen to my books while I'm eating my eggs and toast. That's it, right? I mean, it's that kind of stuff is fundamental to building success. If you don't have that stuff down, it's going to be extremely difficult to figure out where you want to go. Extremely difficult. We do. I host an event for the real estate association, and there's some lady that says she wants to be uber rich or whatever, and she's getting into wholesaling. Now, no offense to wholesalers, but wholesalers is just like their very beginning. She doesn't understand what happens after wholesaling? What are you going to do then? She goes, I don't know. I'm like, you don't know? Well, you probably should have an idea. It's kind of like it's like saying that you want to go to Florida, but you have no idea where the highway is, nor do you even have a car to get there, or a GPS to even drive there. It's like, how do you not define this? You have to have a plan, right? And that's my point, is that the only way to figure out where you want to go is figure out where you want to be in the future and then pull it all the way back to today. What is the action required to get to where you want to go? And I wrote down, I have a vision board, and I put 1,000 units on that vision board, 1,000 units. And I put down pictures of like, say, the healthy movie stars that I love to follow, and buildings, and I had my Tesla. I just had Tesla logos before the Cybertruck even existed. I had all these different things on a vision board, and we're already beyond 1,000 units at this point. Where I'm doing development, of course. I'm doing triple net leases now. I'm doing all these different things, and it's all because I committed to that vision. And even now, it's like I know that we're going to eventually get a home in Colombia. I want to get a villa in the mountains. I see it every day. Going to get a place out there, and besides the house I described earlier. It's
so 1,000 units in how long of a period of time?
It's probably about 3 years, probably a little less. Yeah.
So that's like a unit a day.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I guess I never broke it down that way. I guess it is. Yeah.
Okay.
I never broke it down that way, but yeah, that's right. Jeez, that's a lot.
Well, that is a lot. So tell us, how did you do that?
Well, so once I committed to the vision, once I defined what my goals were and start getting into the right mindset and started exposing myself to the material, right, in terms of the language of real estate, learning how to talk to people, learning how to sell, learning how to put a deal together, all these different things. I mean, I had to learn about how to do all that. And back then, either I didn't know about mentoring or anything else like that, or wasn't readily available, or I just had no idea that it was even a thing, But I just started exposing myself to as much material as I could find, either online or ebooks, or I started listening to ebooks. Carlton Sheets. Remember Carlton Sheets?
Sure. Those were the cassette tapes then.
the cassette tapes. I went through I actually had it on MP3. It was like someone put it on MP3, and I listened to the whole thing. I listened to nothing to do with multifamily per se, but there's actually tricks that I've used in that material that I listened to 4 years ago that went into a deal that I just did recently for 200 units right there. Unbelievable, right? Who would have thought? Right? And but I trained like crazy. I trained like my life depended on it because, well, in fact, it did. I made my girlfriend at the time a promise that whatever job I end up taking next will be the last one. I will never work for anybody ever again. I drew a line in the sand. I'm not doing it. This is it. I'm not doing it again. And it's kind of like that type of commitment that was required up front. Before you start talking to people, before you start doing anything, you need to commit to what you want to do. 100% all in, no back, like there's no plan B, nothing. This is how it's going to be, and damn it, that's how it has to be. And that's the thing. It takes guts to do that kind of stuff. And early on when I was unhappy and I was always worried and I was like working for these crappy companies, and I'd be like, I was upset, but that paycheck was like, it's almost like a drug, and it's exactly what it is. It's a drug that erases the dreams from your mind. That's what it does. And they give you this drug every 2 weeks. It's a new drug, new shot.
They keep you attached to it. They keep you
Yeah,
coming
yeah.
back.
It's enough to keep you to erase whatever dreams you might have. That's what a salary is. It's
What
terrible.
was what was the tactic that you used in that 200 unit deal that you did that you learned from Carlton Sheets?
So yeah, basically a wraparound mortgage is what it is. That's the strategy we ended up using. So there's a deal that is, now they're getting into too much details. I'm sure they don't want, I don't know who wants to hear about it, but it was a cross collateralized deal. So these are big deals, right? This is it's cross collateralized another deal, and the lender, or rather the seller, who's also a lender, the seller can't break them up without paying a big fee to break up the deal, right? So we basically do what's called a wraparound mortgage, where they're carrying the note, right? They carry the note, we make the payments to them, and it's our deal basically. And then at some point in the future, when the defeasance fee goes down to, like, say, I think after 3 years, it goes down to a 1%, then you're able to the defeasance fee is only 1%. Fine, you pay the 1%. It's better than paying, I think, 5% today,
Sure.
Versus 1% in the future, and then you do the deal at that point, right? But you're basically paying the note, you're paying the mortgage the entire time, So wraparound mortgage, which is similar to like a subject to, sort of. That's what
Sure.
Carlton Sheets calls it, So same concept, man. Same concept. Doesn't matter whether it's a single family home or if it's a 200 unit apartment complex. Same thing, man. It's the same scenario. Yeah, its numbers are a little bit bigger. Yeah, you have to you better get some good attorneys to help you put this stuff together. There's a little more at stake, but the concept is the same.
What's the biggest challenge that you've had in business?
Biggest challenge, I'd say that when I was getting started, I wanted to buy my first deal on my own, right? And now maybe it's a good thing that I did. I bought a little 11-unit property, and it's funny because I stole this deal. It was such a freaking amazing deal. I found it on the MLS of all places, and where it should not have been. 11-unit properties usually found either direct to brokers or on LoopNet or whatever. But I found it on the MLS, and I just happened to be looking, and I found it. So no one else was looking for it, because nobody else would even look on the MLS to find a deal. And I found it and bought it. And in my mind, before I can ask people to invest with me, I felt that I had to have deals of my own.
Okay.
And that's what I did. So I went ahead and bought my own deals. And I bought my own multifamily, and I fixed it up, and it was very, very profitable, and did very well with it. So it's kind of like I'm able to demonstrate that, look, I put my own money on the line here. I know what I'm doing. I did my own deal on my own, and here it is. Let me tell you about it. That kind of thing. Do you have to do it that way? You don't have to. I mean, if you're able to partner up with people, which I couldn't do at the time because I didn't know anybody. I didn't know, like, I was brand new to Cleveland because I decided that Cleveland was going to be the place for me. So we packed up our car and drove here with everything, and everything we owned was in the car. That's it. All of it was in the car. got a
two cats and 3 dogs in there also, or?
No.
Come on.
Just my girlfriend. That's it. That's all there was, right? It's like, yeah, it's crazy, man. It was crazy. And it started from literally, I had some money from all the properties that I sold. And that's how I started off, man. I mean, that's it. And it took a lot of hard work, to get the first deal. And then I started networking with folks and partnering up with people. And because I knew what I was talking about, because I can say, look, I have this one deal already. I already bought it. And let me tell you about the NOI. Let me tell you what we did. Here's the CapEx. I'm using the language of the deal and what I did to it, and in the language of real estate. Now, as I'm talking to other investors, and they're like, this guy knows what he's talking about. And then when I did find a deal, I call them up and say, hey, listen, I got a deal here. You want to jump in on this? And they're like, absolutely, let's jump in on it. Let's roll, and that's it. And I sold myself, and I sold them on the deal, and we get on a deal, and we all made money. That's about it. I mean, there's challenges every day. I mean, and I'd say, to answer your question, I mean, the challenge, I think you asked me about the challenges, right? What was the challenge that I faced? So so the one challenge was thinking that I had to do it all by myself, and it's not true. This is a team sport. I did face a challenge on Rockefeller where during all this COVID stuff, things got really, really scary, like real scary with all that, because now you're talking a $13 million deal that has that's going to be worth $115 million when it's completed. All right, when it's done, my partners and I are going to invest $115 million into this one asset. When it's done, that's not even the value of the asset, because as you know, the value of the asset is determined by NOI. This is before it's actually generating NOI. $115 million going into this one asset that's right outside my window here. Okay. And during all this COVID stuff, all the lenders, as you probably remember, they all bolted, they all left, all gone. Right? Lenders that said they were going to be there, gone. So we're like, oh man, what are we going to do now? Like, we have got to scramble, right? At this point, we still had like a week left to due diligence. We had, and we've already spent $1 million in soft costs, just in attorney fees and CPA fees and all these other fees that we spent money on, and all these different studies and all this other stuff. We spent $1 million on all that stuff, and we haven't even closed the deal yet. Okay. And now we had about close to $300K in earnest money that was going to go hard in a handful of days, and the lender pulled out.
That's frightening.
Damn. Yeah, that's a challenge, right?
Yeah.
And then, but we were talking to another lender at the time, and we didn't know for sure that they were going to do the deal. It isn't like they sent over like an LOI and they did all that. Everything said they were going to do the deal, but back then, I mean, I'll tell you, no one was lending on anything. This is the height of all this COVID stuff in the summertime. So it would have been June, July, in that time frame, right?
Okay.
And our due diligence was just about up. So it's like, oh, man, what are we going to do? Like, we're going to lose. Not only are we going to lose our earnest money for $300,000, we're also
soft costs. Yeah,
soft costs. So,
yeah.
So Kenny and I, my partner and I, we're going to owe all these people all this money, and we also get to lose our earnest money that we've already dumped into it, right? So what I did was I called up the attorney. I said, all right, listen, here's what we're going to do. You tell the other side that we're going to go ahead and we're going to release the $300,000 today, and we'll put another $250 in if they give us until the end of September to close this thing.
Okay.
And we're going to increase the price by $100,000. Are they going to take that deal?
Did they?
They're going to take it. And am I going to get that deal closed? You better damn well believe I'm going to get that deal closed one way or another, And we did. We got it done, man. We got it closed. We got it done. We got that deal closed. And it was scary, man. It takes courage to make money. It takes courage to make money, and that's
also creativity, also perseverance, also the ability to say, okay, to recognize a tough challenge, and instead of saying, hey, that's it, you say, wait, what can we do differently and still get the result that we're intended to get? And that's what you did. So it's not just about taking risk. It's about taking the right action as well.
Yeah, but I think part of it too, though, is that you really have to believe in that deal. You have to love and want that deal. I knew I loved that deal. I knew I wanted that deal. My partners wanted that deal. We all wanted it. We knew 100% that deal is going to be a smoking deal. We all knew it. We had to buy this thing. It had to be done. We had to do it. And we were the ones who were going to get it done. And there was no. There come hell or high water, it's going to happen. We got to take it down. We have to. And as soon as Sherwin-Williams breaks ground, by the way, Sherwin-Williams moving the headquarters right next door to us, like right next door, right?
Okay.
World headquarters right next door to us. When they break ground in November, the price of this asset goes up immediately without us doing anything. If that gives you any indication, right? So we know it's valuable. We knew it was valuable, So it's just a tremendous deal, But I mean, it wasn't without a lot of scary moments. But the one mistake that many people make is they just jump into the deal because for the sake of doing a deal, especially these days. There's a lot of deal. It's hard finding good deals these days. Everyone's rushing into the market. You have a lot of these gurus out there with their huge training programs pushing out all this stuff and getting people to overpay for deals. I hope they don't get into any big trouble. But the one mistake that I find many people make is that they don't actually love the deal. They settle for the deal. I won't do a deal unless I love that deal. If I don't love that deal, I'm not doing the deal. Got to love it. If you don't love the deal, don't do the deal.
I think that's about anything with life. If you don't love what you're doing, don't do it. If you don't love your job, don't do it. If you don't love your partner, don't marry them. Right?
Simple. Right.
So how can I get in touch with you, Agostino? If I'm an investor, if I'm looking to invest money, who's a great connection for you, and how do they get connected with you?
Absolutely. So if they go to rdyne.com, rdyne.com, that's the Realty Dynamics website. You can go there. There's a button in the top right. You can just submit your information. We'll add you to the list. Also, if you go to bulletproofcashflow.com, you can download some free resources, some free ebooks on how to raise money, how to talk to brokers. We have a bunch of other stuff on there too. Totally free resources for everyone. So definitely go and check that out. It's going to be good stuff. Yeah.
Say that first website again a little bit slower, please.
Yeah. Rdyne, rdyne.com.
Love it. Agostino, thank you for your time today. I appreciate you and look forward to tracking you with your great success.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.